At the same time, we saw on the first day that all of us are seeking happiness. And wherever there is disease, whether physical or mental, we cannot be comfortable, we cannot be happy. Now when you look in our life, that physically also everybody has got some or the other illness. Everybody thinks that they only have, but everybody has got some or the other illness. But that doesn't mean dis-ease. Emotionally also, there are so many things we have to encounter. And how can there be even emotional balance? The scriptures have given us all the means to remove our disease and our dis-ease and recognize our natural state of ease or health, swasthya. So we have explained all this. Now today, we have to go and recognize that we all are seeking happiness. But why is it that everybody from their womb to the tomb, every creature is seeking happiness? But move around in the world and you will find. Meet anybody, hi, how are you? Fine, thank you. Wait for 2 minutes, you'll find nothing is fine with the life. Great saints also, like Guru Nanak Sahib, Nanak dukhya sab sansar. Buddha sarvam dukkham dukkham. Even in the Gita, Krishna says, having come into this world, which is anitya, asukha, impermanent and devoid of happiness. Because if all of us want something, in the 60s we wanted to reach the moon, not only one country, all countries, not only one country worked, the whole world was working for it. I don't know, people now still doubt it, but we made the possible, impossible, possible. Here's another secret of success. But then why are we feeling so miserable? That there is something that you want, and that's the only thing we want, really speaking. You want an object to be happy. You want to marry to be happy. You divorce also to be? I know, I see her very often happier. Then why do they marry again? So, if you see, we do everything to be happy. If a thing is no longer giving happiness, or even a person, I feel becomes the cause of my sorrow. The saints go to say that even if your own child becomes the cause of your sorrow, you will be ready to kill them. See? So there is something that everybody wants. In fact, that's the only thing we want. And something that you want, because of which everything that you do is for happiness only, is it not? Now something you want but your family members don't want, then also you can't get it. But not only everybody you want, everybody else also wants. And we want it for others also. That's why every New Year, every Diwali, every festival of every religion, every New Year, every birthday, wish you a happy. Anybody says, I wish you another sad New Year. We wish everybody also happiness. No? Still, here is something everybody wants from the womb to the tomb. Everybody wants for each other also. And yet, why is it that we are not happy? Day and night we are working for it. All work is for what? To be happy or to be sad? Anybody here want sorrow? I'm asking because Vedanta is not just logical, but is the most logical spiritual science. And therefore Gurudev used to say, in between he used to ask this question, so you think. In fact, he sometimes used to say also, think. He said, don't trust a bearded fellow. Longer the beard, later must beard out. That's why I keep it clear. Everybody wants happiness. Every work that we do is for happiness. Ask anyone if they don't have sorrow, everybody has got sorrow. When Kabir Das ji says, Tan dhar sukhiya koi na dekhe, jo dekha sukh dukhiya. Even goes to say the family man is miserable, the monk is also miserable only. But then who is the one who is happy? Nobody, everybody is seeking happiness, nobody wants sorrow, yet the whole world has got sorrow. And rarely will you find someone who says, I am happy. Temporarily, yes. But I am happy. So very often I ask this question to everybody so that they don't listen and just nod their head. Because our purpose is to spread maximum happiness to maximum people for the maximum time. But here and now, not post-mortem. And here and now doesn't mean next Jnana Yagna. Today is the last day of this Jnana Yagna. You must get it now only. They asked, anybody want sorrow? One person put his hand up. So we looked at him. You want sorrow? We thought it was the Indian God. We don't know if it's yes or no. You want sorrow? It was a definite. Huh? Laddu paiche? So I asked, why do you want sorrow? He said, because sorrow makes me happy. Kuch log hai aise. Now, we don't want sorrow, we want happiness. Day and night we are working for it, everybody is working for it, everybody wants for it. Then isn't it time to realize that somewhere, in spite of all our wish, intent, want, desire, actions, hard work, if we are not getting, isn't it that something we have to start thinking? And the sooner we think, the better. Once I was traveling by train in India, I'm talking long ago. As usual, those days trains used to be late, not anymore. But trains used to be late. These days flights are late. Trains used to be late. You would go to the station and sit in that heat. 3 hours, 4 hours late. This train I was sitting was 3 hours, 22 minutes late, and finally, kada, it started moving. With such a sigh of relief. The train was 3 hours, 22 minutes late, but we Indians have got such a knowledge of time that this man was 3 hours, 23 minutes late and still expected to catch the train. I can see that. Since telling you Indian knowledge system, our calculus is so good. Laws of probability that we calculate is so good. And Indians don't travel light, you know that, right? So baggage with the coolie, and finally the coolie, the train, he comes running and you can see the commotion, and the coolie kind of throws all his baggage in, asking for money. They are even there bargaining, and then he tries to get 1 foot on the train, 1 foot there, and then tries to get in. And now that he did not put the luggage in the compartment, so gives him less 5 rupees. Then comes inside, and why we have been now getting used to the delay and the relaxing sauna. He comes in, puts in his baggage everywhere, thela, theli, everything he puts everywhere, creating a lot of commotion. I think the Indian train system is such good. You don't look at the next person coming like, wish the seat was empty. More the merrier. Oh, then everybody is accommodating also, and then everybody wants the upper bunk. So he finally gets onto the upper bunk, takes it over, and then he's finally sitting. Meanwhile, the train has started only saving graces, the breeze is coming in. And those days, the train journey, if you took from the south to the north, north to the south, it took a long time, sometimes 2 nights. One day, one night was over. By the time everybody becomes so friendly, I was just quietly reading my book. So he looks at me, Babaji, I didn't know who he was calling. Then Guruji, Guruji. So then I looked up. From up there he says, "Kya padh rahe ho? What are you reading?" So I showed him. I've been Maunam for the last few hours. So I showed him. Bhagavad Gita padh rahe ho. वो भी भगवद गीता नहीं, भागवत गीता पढ़ रहे। तो मैंने बोला, या भगवद गीता, I'm reading the Bhagavad Gita. Can you tell me in short? Tell me in short. थोड़े में बता. Tell me in short. What does the Bhagavad Gita say? Our Guru had already told us that you will meet such railway spiritual people. And they will ask you to tell you the most profound spiritual knowledge in short. And that Shankaracharya said, I can tell it in half a line. But then that raises a lot of question. If you use words like Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, Mithya Chagagya Kalas. But we were told that whenever somebody asks you this question, that tell us in short, what is 3 days lecture, where do you have time to come? That's why you kept the short for the last. And I would say this, finish. Matter over. Spirituality realization gate. And it is as easy as that. Should I tell you? You want to realize right now? You want to realize or not?
Yes.
Right now?
Yes.
Okay, no ifs and buts then.
No.
So Guruji had told us that if somebody asks you, what is the theme of the Bhagavad Gita or what is Vedanta, तो उनको बोल दें कि इस जगत का जो अधिष्ठान है वही इस जगत का दृष्टा है. That one who is the substratum of this universe is the seer of the universe. Understand? Nobody will admit their ignorance. The essence of Vedanta is that the seer of the universe is the very cause and substratum of the universe. Oh, he immediately kept quiet. He said, okay. Samajh, he said, no, it's better not to ask this person anything more. Because if he had said, Bhagavad Gita says do your duties, and then they'll say, Arey, but why should we do our duties? Because, nobody does their duties. All that. Now, about this, he could not ask any question because he understood nothing. Just like you all. So then he changed the conversation. And again, one more night passed away. And by the time in our conversation, we came to realize that we were in the same college. Oh, Swami goes to college. No, actually we just become. So, we are in the same college, the same year, in the same division. Now these days if you wear mask, you can't recognize him. But he had also grown a beard, I had also grown a beard, and we used to be in our chemistry lab in the during the exams and all, we were partners in that chemistry lab. I didn't recognize him, he didn't recognize me, he didn't think that I would be a Babaji. My dhadi had grown, his dhadi had grown. We didn't recognize it, and once we found out that we were from the same college, then we were sitting and chatting about college days, this, that, all was going on. Till finally he asked me, where are you going? So I said, I'm going down south. He says, so I said, I'm going to Chennai. He said, see, ever since we left college, how much science has developed. I said, yeah, it has developed. How much it has developed? See, we are in the same tree. The lower bunk is going to Chennai and the upper bunk is going to Delhi. Is it possible? You must have imagined on a cone cow. We have been given the intellect to think, and yesterday I pointed out how to develop the healthy intellect. The day before yesterday when we had a session. How to develop our intellect, what is the health of the intellect? To see things clearly. And when the mind and intellect is integrated, that intelligence that arises is the intelligence which we call as viveka, buddhi. Now, we laugh at this, is it not? But have you thought, what happiness do we want? We want permanent, everlasting happiness, is it not? Permanent success, permanent love. Don't we? We want permanent, everlasting happiness. And day and night, what are we struggling, working, laboring for? Tell me. Happiness. But to get objects that we think will give us happiness. And it is not that we don't experience some happiness. Don't say no. But if the happiness is coming from that object and the object itself is impermanent, can we get permanent happiness from any object? No. Every object will one day perish. Every contact will be disconnected. And at the same time, it is constantly changing. Next moment it has changed. Now we laugh at this Chennai Delhi joke. We want permanent, everlasting happiness. But day and night we are hoping, expecting, working, wanting from impermanent objects. Objects we require for our sustenance. Nobody says they don't get objects. People also around us, family, etc. But if we expect permanent, everlasting happiness from impermanent objects, things, beings, situations, relationships, then where our expectations are false, disappointment is natural. Sorrow is not our natural state. If it was our natural state, we would be very happy being sorry. The moment we experience any sorrow, we struggle to get out of it, don't we? But do we say, okay, enough of happiness. Enough of pleasures, yes. But enough of happiness? Do you say that ever? This is where our scriptural science, our spiritual science, Vedanta makes us start thinking. And until and unless we correct our erroneous notions, our misapprehensions, our false understanding of ourselves, our life's purpose, goal, and the world itself, till then, whatever we do, we cannot get permanent, everlasting happiness. Why I'm pausing is because if it gets corrected right now, understand, you got it. You're on the journey. And the journey is not far away. It's an eternal journey of inquiry. We want permanent, everlasting happiness, and whole life, what? Lifetimes after lifetimes, we seek that happiness in objects, situations, people which are temporary. And every time dissatisfied, wanting more and more and more. Birth, death, again and again. And never getting it. Till by some grace of God, born in a cultural family, due to the punyas of your many good actions, coupled by the grace of the Lord, that we get satsanga. Binu satsanga vivek na hoi, Ram kripa binu sulabh na soi. That without satsang there is no vivek. Company of the truth, company of those who know the truth, those who have attained the truth, those who are walking on the path of truth. Vinu satsanga vivekana holi. This discrimination, that because of which we have the intellect, and this is not possible without God's grace. Ram kripa binu sulabh na soi. And therefore, wherever you get this opportunity, yesterday I just said to all the family people, while you have parents, the importance of it. But you who are present here today should understand why. That viveka, that discrimination. We study Tattva Bodh also, Nitya Vastu Viveka. What is that viveka? To know that everything that we see, experience in the world, the entire world of plurality, the Einsteinian world of relativity, the very word Jagat, Gurudev will say, it's constantly changing. The very word Jagat, Ja Jayate, Ga Gacchati, Ta, even barely Tishtati. Born, and even before you can see its existence, it has disappeared. And we call ourselves very scientific. You know, Einstein. But what is the wisdom? That everything is finite, limited, temporary. Then from the finite, limited, temporary objects, as much as you may add more and more and more and more and more and more. And even if you were to get the kingdom of the entire universe, there are universes beyond that. Therefore, Kathopanishad, Nachiketa says, even the longest life is short, and the wealth of the universe cannot even satisfy you. One who has got this viveka, this discrimination, and begins to inquire, what am I doing with my life? Remember I told yesterday Gurudev's story. After getting everything, he asked himself this question, am I happy? Comfortable, yes, but am I happy? There are some people who say, of course I'm happy. I remember I was many years in this country only. There was this gentleman who used to drive me to the talks, and he loves chanting, and he had a very nice voice, and he loved being the MC. And all the way through, he was so entertaining. So one day he's telling me, Swamiji, after a discourse like this, when it gets intense, so a discourse like this, he said, Swamiji, don't get me wrong, I love coming to listen. When I've heard Gurudev, I love listening to Guruji, I love coming to listen to your discourses. But tell me, what is the purpose of this? See, I can understand. Everybody thinks that everybody else has got a problem. That's why they come here. You go and tell someone, you have got a problem. I don't have any problems. Your karma must be bad. Your karma must be bad. You go for satsang. Their karma must be bad if you think like that. So he said, don't get me wrong, I really enjoy listening, especially the jokes that you all say. I enjoy listening to it. But what is the purpose behind this whole Vedanta? Thank God we didn't say Vedanta, which becomes Vedanta. If you are saying that the purpose to gain happiness, I am already happy. And why would he not be happy? He had a large family, 4 to 5 children, all going to Bal Vihar in this country. And at that time, as I told you, how things were. He's got children, all good performers, all well behaved. And even I'm telling you, don't think today, wife who cooks so well and feeds him. His business was doing well. Why? If he's sad, then there's something mentally wrong with him. But I asked him one question. I said, suppose, now you are happy. But suppose one of your children failed and went through sorrow or failure or into some addiction. Suppose your business collapsed. And suppose you find out your wife, you say, Swamiji, stop. Because what you Swami say come true. I said, even the thought of losing something in your life can cause you such anxiety, etc. Which means your happiness is dependent on so many factors. Your 3 children are doing very well. One child is not doing. That sorrow envelops all your joys. Is it? Therefore, sitting in a train to Chennai If you think that you are going to reach Delhi, yeah, just because you have upgraded yourself to the upper class, it will not happen. So what? Should I give up the entire world? Even if you give up, the world is not going to give you up. But don't say, I'm staying at home because my family members don't want me to go. They are waiting for you to go. Why? Not only from the house, from this world. Not that way. You give up the world means what can you give up? You have to live in this world only. What you have to give up is what is never yours and which can never be yours, is expecting permanent happiness from impermanent things. Complete satisfaction from finite things. See? This is the wisdom we have. And the sooner we know it, we don't have to go to rock bottom or reach Chennai and then take the train to Delhi. The sooner you get out of those notions, the faster you can reach your destination. I mean, we do not realize the seriousness. We want it. We complain, God is not giving us, this is not giving us. And let me tell you, very sad is the condition of old age. Where even your thinking capacities go away. Your hopes and expectations multiply. Even though you become hopeless about the people in your life, the sooner you recognize it and the sooner you take the right direction. Now everything in this world is finite, limited and temporary. Therefore, complete satisfaction, happiness and permanent happiness cannot be gained from any object. At least that much you should understand. But we cannot deny that we get some joys out of it, is it not? We get some joy out of it. And we mistake that joy for happiness. And we think that the more and more we have of it. In fact, if one piece of whatever, yesterday's, gives me joy, I think the more I will eat it, the more my joy will multiply. In fact, the more you eat it, it diminishes. And after 10 of them, suffering. Proposal. Engagement. Wedding. And after that, how it has an after wedding? Prince Charming was never charming. That which your mother told you and warned you against. In life, that is why, really speaking, the intellect has been given to us, and only in human life, from all the creatures in the world, that we can find out the secret of everlasting, complete happiness. But the This is exactly what our whole marketing is all about. There is little objects can give you little happiness, have a lot of the little. This is the difference between the semantic thinking and our Indian holistic thinking. And that's why India could give the knowledge of Maya and of Brahman, the infinite. Even in mathematics, zero and infinity. Zero has no value of its own, but when added even to one, suddenly creates 10, 100, thousands, millions. See, from mathematics to the highest truth is revealed through this mindset. And see how we are losing it. Any amount of finite numbers added together cannot make infinite. You have studied mathematics, right? Use this in marketing. By having more and more and more and more and more, we think that we'll get more and more happiness. Remember, any amount of finite things added does not become infinite. Infinite is alone, one without a second. So when we inquire, and know that everything is changing, and in the changing world there cannot be permanent everlasting happiness, which means that permanent everlasting can be gained only from that which is permanent. And then when we inquire further also, and please inquire, don't just listen to me. What I am doing is just helping you to inquire. It has to be your discovery, your conviction, that when you inquire, if you think that little happiness can give you a lot of happiness, this is where greed comes in, and you become more and more agitated, more and more miserable, and you realize that where the mind is agitated, even if you've got the kingdom of the world or everything that you wanted, you cannot be happy. Therefore, peace of mind and happiness, like Ram and Sita, go together. You cannot have them separate. Peace is happiness, happiness is peace. In greed, we are agitating our mind even more and more, and even if we get what we want, our misery becomes only more and more and more, because our agitations are increasing with the hope of getting more happiness. Then when we inquire, even that little joy, after all in the world everything is impermanent, that little joy that we get from the objects also, is it in the object? See, a nature of a thing is that which can never be separated from it. And it's the same for everyone. That's why it's called its truth. Just as, what is the nature of sugar? Is it crystalline, powder, white, brown, red? Those are all changing qualities. But its nature is sweetness. That's why people say, in India desserts are called as sweet. But latest fad. You know, Swamiji, I've made sweets for you, because we call sweets, we don't call them dessert. Mithai banaiye, mithai. And then they give it to you, and by the time you bite into it, you say, but I have not made it sweet. How can you call it sweet? Wasted calories, tasteless calories. If you have to eat, then you have to eat it sweet, right? They probably this is Swamiji, I have not made it sweet. Then why should I eat it? You eat sweet for sweet. Even I'm telling you, in cuisine you have to be intelligent. Eat little, but at least eat sweet when it is sweet. Otherwise, why do you eat sweet? Nature of sugar is sweetness. It is sweet to an Indian, it is sweet to an African, it is sweet to a child, it is sweet even to an elderly person. It is sweet to you during your childhood, it was sweet to you even now. Whether you like it or not, that's a different story. But it is sweet, is it not? There is never a time the sugar cannot be sweet. A sweetless sugar is not sugar. It can be salt. Sometimes people forget and in a hurry bring us dessert with salt. It has happened, huh? Don't think Lucky Swami, Viksha. Just as light is the nature of the sun. Have you ever seen a dark sun? Tell me. If you have, sun is always bright. The nature of sun is light. And nature of a thing is that without it can never be. If happiness was the nature of an object, it would give happiness to all the people at all the time, in any condition. Now think, even that little happiness, is it from that object? Think, because when you think, you can come and challenge me also. Because I remember in Manila once I was speaking, and one young man, because they think that intellectual means you have to defy everything. After the session was over, stood up and said, Swamiji, and I would give that time example of cigarette. So many people used to smoke cigarette. And for me, even if somebody is smoking outside, I can smell it and I get allergies. Thank God, God made me allergic to everything that is harmful. Allergies are sometimes good, especially if it is for bad things. So I said, if cigarette gives happiness, it was like that. One person is sitting in the bus, two people are sitting in the middle, and the one in the middle cannot bear cigarette. If somebody is smoking away, that person is in bliss. It's not a reward. It is not injurious, it is cause of cancer. The person who doesn't smoke is agitated, can't you see that? And earlier it was, smoke if your co-passenger is not object. This person looks at the other passenger. Do you object? He said, not, as long as you give me one. different reaction to the same cigarette. So I said, if cigarette were to give you happiness, and also, then why in every film पीने के बाद if happiness was there in any of these objects, it would give us happiness at all times to everyone, is it not? Which means happiness is not in the object. This man got up and said, Swamiji, your karma must be bad. You Swamis can't enjoy anything. He was not admired this way. He in fact told me, Swamiji, can I take you, to Casablanca? So what is Casablanca? It says a nightclub here. I said, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't, whatever you all do there. So he said, what, you Swamis can't enjoy anything. So he got up and he very arrogantly said, actually the human man, but he just got up and said, Swamiji, cigarette gives me happiness. Something must be wrong with you. That you Swamis, that you can't enjoy cigarette, you can't enjoy alcohol, you can't enjoy this. Anyway, he has a viewpoint. Logic can be anyway. We just laughed it over. But when somebody gets up and insults you like that or defies you like that, you don't forget. Very hard to forget. If something must be wrong with you, that's why you cannot enjoy smoking. But always comes. Some years later, he came up to me. Now he was married, he had children. He's still attending my discourse in spite of being like this. One day he comes to me, and many years in between he never came. But that time he suddenly came and found me out. He says, Swami, do you remember me? I said, you, I can't forget. So he said, Swamiji, I want to meet you privately. And I know private interview means not. Yeah. I said, come. He was there, I was very ready. Come on, come. And I said, now let me find out. What is the problem? So he said, Swamiji, I've not been coming for so many years. I said, yeah, I noticed. You noticed? I said, yes, I noticed. So I said, so what happened? You got married? He said, yes. So I said, so I could see from his face, from all his lines on his face. He said, Swamiji, I need your help. So I said, what happened? He said, Swamiji, my wife wants to divorce me. My whole family will leave me. I'm miserable. I said, why? He said, my child has got asthma. My wife is upset. This smoking I cannot give up. So I said, why? Your karma has changed. He didn't remember. He said, I can't give up this smoking. And now my whole family wants to leave. My child is sick. Can you help me how to do it? The only way is stop it. But why? That same cigarette that he thought was giving him happiness is now the cause of his misery. To the same person, that same object at a different period of time does not give happiness. So should we not understand that the happiness is not in the object? To Swamiji, you made me more miserable. First, a permanent happiness cannot be. Now, happiness only cannot be gained. can we give up our pursuit of happiness? And the fact that even little happiness we experience, but when we recognize by thinking intelligently that the happiness cannot be in the sense object, then when do I get happiness? That little happiness that I get also must be coming from somewhere. And if happiness is not the nature of object, any object in the world or the universe, then there are only two things in this entire universe. Be ready for it. If it clicks, it clicks. That's why we call it Jnana clicks. If it is not the nature of objects, it can only be the nature of the subject. Think. We keep hearing our child. Happiness is within. You have to find it within. But all the time we are without. Without happiness and out also. That's why we kept on saying, what does Hari Om mean? Hari Om mean? Hari Om. Happiness is the nature of the self. The nature of the subject. The nature of the knower. The nature of the experiencer. The nature of the self. And it is because out of our ignorance you consider yourself to be this finite individual, identified with the body, mind, intellect, that you feel yourself to be finite, limited. And if you have seen that in the finite there can be no complete happiness, therefore happiness can be only in the infinite, that which is permanent, which is all-pervading, which is with no limitation whatsoever. So happiness is my nature. It is the Swarupa of the Atma. Then, when is it that you experience sorrow? When a desire is not fulfilled. From where does a desire arise? From a sense of incompleteness. Incompleteness arises when you think yourself to be finite. Which means I don't know myself. We want to know everything about everybody and everything that is happening. But we don't know ourselves. We want to meet everybody and miss everybody. But we do not want to meet ourselves. Because the self that we meet in our introspection is only our agitated mind, which we don't like. We don't like facing. As we go on introspecting daily, as we go on tuning up our mind, and with the right values that calm the mind and bring it to its natural state of calmness. That's why Karma Yoga, that's why Bhakti, that's why meditation, all that is to quieten the mind. But only with knowledge can you realize that the happiness that you seek is not in the latest mobile phone. This is what you call virtue. Maya. Just when you are going to realize it, and why? Because you want to remain connected, remain attached.
Right.
That the world cannot go on without. Keep your ego. When the mind is quiet and in its natural state, you recognize that with or without anything, you are happy. Are you not happy right now? Yes or no?
Yes.
I tell you, the greatest gift you can have is to discover that I can be peaceful and with or without anything or anybody, I can be happy. Otherwise, like that man who was driving me, happiness depends on so many factors. Are we independent to be happy? If your happiness depends on anything, then anxiety, stress is already there. How can you be happy? Therefore, Vedanta says through vichar only. All other practices are preliminary. We need those. But finally, through vichar, even study of the scriptures or listening to the discourses, is your mind doing vichar? Are you inquiring? That moment the revelation takes place. During the very first camp, I was only 21. Gurudev came, large audiences. You are actually somewhere in the middle, you want all the attention, but you're just in the midst of that vast ocean of people. And Gurudev announced that I am having a 2-month camp to have Gurudev those days. Gone were those days of even 15 days, Gyan Yagyas, were only 8, 9 days. Later on it was only 5 days. You know how much we have advanced these days, you know. Because our mental capacity has become so that even 2 days is more. Yeah? That's why on the 3rd day it becomes less. Attention span. To have Gurudev and be with Gurudev, not for one evening or morning session which he used to take, but in a camp, in a retreat. That was in the foothills of the Himalayas. Simpadi Ashram had just started. In the first camp he said, I am taking Viveka Chudamani. Those days, what did we know what Viveka Chudamani is? I just thought that Gurudev, such a great Maharishi, too also at the foothills of the Himalayas, which I had never been to. I must go. I didn't know where it was, how it was, never travelled alone in India, even born and brought up in India, never travelled alone. Everybody got excited during the camp. Oh yes, there's a camp, it's a global camp, where you will be thinking for 2 months. Everybody excited, okay, we'll go for 10 days. Finally, one by one, we get down. As far as the adults are concerned, business is there, business client is there, marriage is there, Begani Shadi mein Abdullah Diwana, all that is there. All our study group, our sevaks and all that, not now, and all that. Finally, I was the lone youngster left behind. Even all my chick friends, they can't come in and this and that. Finally, only 2 of us somehow landed because one family was going. So, one more person was allowed to go. Few people even then, about 200 people from around the world had come for that camp. And let me tell you, the conditions were such, not today anymore. Come for Hanuman Mastak Abhishek, or at least watch it online. We were 7 of us, with few kutiyas were there. 7 of us, wall-to-wall carpet, camp attendees, on the ground. No mattress was supplied to us. I just put even that time a lighter stroller than, not stroller, small Air India briefcase. Thinking I'm going to an ashram. These days, so they carry their complete trunks. We had no mirror, no hot water bath. Global warming had not yet started. Freezing cold. Not even enough bathrooms. I would run down to those public bathrooms, the servants' bathrooms, and go and manage everything there. And even if you had to use the one in your room, if it was very cold, hot water you have to go and bring from down. By the time you bring it up, it is already frozen, and you have also frozen. And then somebody else has used the bathroom. And being youngsters, we would be sitting and composing bhajans on Gurudev and everything. And we come in late while everybody else is snoring because the age group was there. Youngsters, we were only 2. So we gave our name last for using the bathroom. Regretted it because the first one gets up at 3:30 and what will he do? He gets up and then goes for a cold water bath because hot water is available only afterwards. Suddenly you wake up because Prahlad is like, Om Namah Shivaya! And then comes out and thinks he's done a great favor to wake up these children and starts their Vedic chanting. Vedic chanting is so sweet to hear, but not when you are sleeping at 4 o'clock in the morning. Sahasra Shesha Purusha Hare Baba. You regret that you gave your name last. You would have rather gone first, had your bath, and run out to the hall. Instead of meditating, go to sleep. These conditions and food. People like to go to ashram food because food is good. We send our children to our STEM International Foundation or even for the camps that we have global, teenage camp or chick camp. First the parents, what food will they get? And when they come there and see that the school provides them better cuisine than while they are dancing away during the holiday time in their clubs and spending so much money there, the children are eating everything from fine dining to everything. And they say, oh, this is what our children are eating. Still they will not come to the camp. That's good for the children. Anyway, we were going through all that. We went for 10 days, we extended it for 2 months. Still we did not want to leave from there. We were begging, that time Guruji was the course Acharya there to tell Gurudev, who can dare go and tell Gurudev, whose itinerary was fixed 2 years in advance, that please extend. And he said, why? Why would you want to stay here? First of all, you all don't come. Then when you all come, you all don't want to go. And maximum problem was his. So sometimes he used to go and use his bathroom. He was happy that we would go away and we were happy that we could stay there. Then why do you want to stay here? And everybody said that we are so happy here. Of course, there's an extension to this story, but that I'll tell you when I speak about love. Keep it for next time, right? The greatest wonder was, greatest revelation was, that when I went away from Siddhbari, one thing I recognized, that I can be happy even without the basic necessities of life. And the day that conviction comes in, no object in the world can bind you. Because just listening to his discourses, your mind is so quiet and you are experiencing this. You cannot call it joy, you cannot call it happiness. It's that peaceful, unending. What theory, what analysis, what logic. Indeed, when it's a direct experience, that none of those objects that we were even used to, the comforts that we were used to, the people that we were used to, were not there. And yet, we are in this state of blissful ecstasy. There at that time the food was not fine dining like in CRS or anything. I say fine dining, it's simple, but it's like grandmother's cooking. Nobody can eat it. It was bangan and potato and bangan. For all the meals of the day, the combination was only different. But we weren't happy. If you once discover that what you are experiencing here, without all the dhamakas, that happiness is with you. It is your nature. And if you stop expecting it from people, things, beings and situations, then the outside world cannot affect you. And where there is no dis-ease with the world, neither mental disease nor even physical disease can affect you. Not even death can cause any fear to you. Even in this much discovery. And this discovery takes place through inquiry based on the right means of knowledge. Now, you know, in university, they are going on trying to search for happiness quotient. And they want you to do PhD in happiness. You say you've gone beyond that. Then think. Today, whole life goes in misery, working, struggling. thinking that more wealth will give us happiness. The moment you discover that that happiness is with me, all your productivity, all your work can be for far greater things. Today we save money which we are not going to use in our life, with the hope that you will be happy, that your great grandchildren will enjoy. Jewelries that you never used, you think your daughter-in-law and your grandchildren will enjoy. How we postpone our happiness to the future. There is so much that we can do with our life if we recognize that happiness is my own true nature. And if finitude is sorrow, happiness is infinite. And if Ananda is my Swarupa, and Ananda is infinite, I am infinite. Aham Brahmasmi. This is the essence of Vedanta. This is the essence of spiritual well-being, permanent well-being. And this is the fulfillment of countless life of struggle. I know what is going to come. But Swamiji, when we leave from here, the moment we go out, we are back to normal. That's why they ask us, Swamiji, what were you when you were normal? Because these notions still carry on in our mind out of habit. What you have experienced, what you have known right now, when you constantly remind yourself and keep contemplating on it, then that conviction arises. And when finally, when your mind just abides in it, there's nothing to agitate your mind. Your mind reaches its natural state of quietude, not inactivity. And you discover that I always was infinite. I was always peace, Shanta, Shiva, Sundara. And all the time the mind throws up its delusions, bring it back. Abhyasa Yoga, bring it back. That is called as meditation. Others what? Meditate on what? Nothing. And as you bring your mind to experience this inner peace, which is still a reflection in the mind. Not that you will not be acting in the world or doing your duties, etc. Your mind is no longer affected by the conditions outside. The more it starts abiding in itself, the more peace and happiness and contentment it feels within itself. The mind just gets absorbed into the self, which is Shanta, Shiva, auspiciousness, bliss, Sundara. this is our natural state. And what you discover is, it was only due to your ignorance and misconceptions. Therefore, it was always there. And no one could have taken it away from you except your own self being oblivious of it. Therefore, aneka janma samprapta karma bandha vidahini atma jnana pradhanina tasmai shri gurave namaha. Therefore, the karmas of countless lifetimes, which means what? This doer, wanter, desirer, perceiver, feeler, thinker, doer, enjoyer, and this I and mine comes to dissolve in this supreme I, which is bliss. The end of this, I don't think end of it. 2 drops were falling from the sky. One says, we are falling into the big ocean, we will disappear into the ocean. The other says, we will become the ocean. Yet we want to maintain this tiny drop. And we want to blow it up, all with air, gas. To be bigger and bigger. Till we burst. But we should merge. All our spiritual practices are for this discovery, this knowledge. And this is our natural state. We don't have to do anything. All doing is with body. We just have to know. That's why the science of Vedanta. And if you are happy, there is no sorrow, there is no anxiety, no tension. Body, because of the environment, whatever it may be. But a realized master does not suffer. Yoga rato va, bhoga rato va, sangha rato va, sangha virina, yasya brahmani ramate chittam, nandati, nandati, nandati. I don't say we didn't teach you meditation. Look at even the quietude, which was nobody knows you were talking or moving. But experience the quietude within you and even in the environment right now. Is it more intensive than when we started on it? World peace is possible when each one of us is peaceful. World happiness is possible when I am happiness, and therefore nothing that I can do without giving happiness. The world is happy when each one of us is happy. Now you understand Gurudev's mission, Gurudev's vision, our Vedic knowledge. Now only you have to keep on reminding yourself. Keep that constant memory, because pramado by mrityu, and pramada means forgetfulness. This mind will again fail, will again fail. Therefore, satsangatve, sangat. Continue your satsang, continue your sadhana, continue your sharing. Again and again and again and again, dip in this ocean of bliss. Till one day you recognize that you yourself are the ocean of bliss without any wavering. And this is our natural state. This is happiness and health. We invoke the blessings of all the great rishis, the Guru Parampara, and our Gurudev, that we remain happy and in the world as long as we live, we've got nothing to do but give of ourselves, and that is happiness. Whenever sorrow comes in, recognize that ignorance is spreading its way. The ghost of the ego is rising, and our attachments are binding. Immediately alert yourself. Hold on to the feet of the Guru. Bring the mind to remember. Guru mere sang sada hai. Guru is always with me as long as this knowledge is with me. This is our natural state. Every day in your prayers, pray for the well-being, health, not just physical health. We have a larger concept of health right now. That's why our prayer in the Shanti part in the ending, we chant together, and then there will be few expression of gratitude to everyone, Kritagyata, and then to Bhagwan, Aarti, and then as you go out, take prasad. Prasad means carry that peace with you, carry that knowledge with you, the world around you. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. May everybody be happy. Sarve santu niramaya. May all be free of disease. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. May we see all auspiciousness, goodness, happiness around us. Ma kaschit dukkha bhavet. May never, at least we be the cause of sorrow to anybody. And may no one experience sorrow. That is our prayer. It's not wishful thinking. It is possible. May we be led from darkness to light, from mortality to immortality, from ignorance to knowledge. And remember, there is only one infinite truth, and you cannot be separate from it, nor can anybody be separate from it, because Purnamadaha Purnam Idam. Every time we chant these Shanti parts, everything is there in it, which we have now done in these 3 sessions, which is there in these 3 Shanti parts. And these are mantras. Mantra constantly repeat. And that which protects you from what? Your own ignorance, from your own mental misconceptions.
सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मा अमृतम्